Alright guys, so this is your washer and your dryer, and if you don't know which one is which, that's where we're going to start. The washer, at least if you have older models, is the thing that you put clothes into the top of. The dryer, because it doesn't have any water involved, has a door that opens on the front. Now what's different is on new fancy washers, they also might open on the front because they can actually create a water seal. But for anything older like what we have, your washer is going to open on the top and your dryer is going to open on the front. Now we're going to cover the washer first, and then we're going to cover the dryer. Some pretty big safety things with the washer and the dryer. I'm going to pause so we can get a good view of everything that goes into the washer, and then we'll discuss that. All right, guys, so you got to excuse the mess back here and a little bit of dog hair. I'm going to explain everything that we're seeing, and this is the best camera angle that I can get, so, sorry that I'm not in it. So these lines that look like hoses coming into your washer are your hot and cold inlet. If we lean even further over, you can see that one is blue and one is red. That red one's going to be where you should attach your hot water, and the blue one should be where you attach your cold water. If your washer doesn't seem to be washing correctly, you might have those swapped, or one of them might be turned off, right? Back up here at our water shutoffs that we talked about in a previous video. If I can angle the camera up. So right back at those water shutoffs, you'd want to make sure that everything is actually turned on. The electric going into a washer, and I only bring this up because a dryer is different. Your electric is your standard 3-prong outlet. Normally by your washing machine, you're actually going to have just a regular double outlet here, so you're going to end up having an outlet that does nothing. And then one of the most important parts of a washing machine, and I will tell you, I have a friend who learned this from some hard personal experience, but making sure that this hose, which is your drain line, is firmly in place into wherever it's going to drain into. So if you can see down there, that PVC line then just goes to the waste out of our basement. So it literally goes straight down the floor. The line attaching into it comes from our utility sink that is right beside us, and I used a flexible piece of plumbing there just to save me the headache of having to kind of figure that angle out. And I knew the only stuff going down that line would be just regular water. So this is our washer line out. I would actually have to ask somebody smarter than me why they cut this so high, aside from the fact that then you can see it and make sure that everything is draining properly. You can hear it when your washer is going and draining. That's totally fine. But if this is not attached into anything, your washer will still work. It'll still operate fine, and you won't know that anything is wrong until the spin cycle happens and your washer drains all that water onto your floor or down to your neighbor beneath you if you're in an apartment, like my friend was. When they forgot to put their drain line in, it drained into their apartment's wall or their neighbor downstairs into their wall, was coming out of their wall. And that was an interesting conversation when that neighbor came knocking saying, my wall appears to be leaking. I'm curious what's going on up here. So that's everything with a washer, is hot and cold water, your drain line, most important part, and then the electric going into it. So let's pause the video and hop over to our dryer where we have more of a safety, sort of safety note. All right, so this then is the backside of your dryer. Then not much to see. You really only got two things attached to it here. You're going to have your electric cord, which is much bigger and heftier than your washer. And then you're going to have your vent line that lets the air vent out of your dryer. That is extremely important. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But you'll recognize here, this is not your standard 3-prong electric cord, right? There's nothing standard about it. So again, depending on the age of your dryer will depend on if this is true or not. But your dryer line is going to tend to have either a big heavy-duty 3-prong like this, or even they make a 4-prong version. And that is because it pulls more electricity, right? It's wired separately. So actually, when we talk about the breaker panel, which in my basement is right the thing next to this, but when we talk about the breaker panel, we'll talk about how that should honestly have its own breaker attached to it. So I'm going to pause the video, and then we're going to talk about the dryer vent line and why checking on this guy every so often is extremely important. All right, so at some point in your life, you're probably going to encounter somebody that tells you they really don't like doing laundry. Actually, I can probably guarantee somebody will tell you they don't like doing laundry. But when somebody tells you they always feel like it takes forever for their clothes to dry, your first response should be, do you clean out the lint trap? Every washer and dryer is going to have a lint trap somewhere, whether it's in the top and you can actually see it, or the dangerous thing is some washers and dryers will have a lint trap that is right down here. We're going to move the camera. Yeah, that lint trap would be right down here in the front of the dryer, and you would pull it up, out, or you would just use your fingers to sweep it out. And if anyone ever tells you that they think that dryer lint is gross, they're being a baby, because dryer lint is all the stuff that comes off your clothes in the dryer, right? So dryer lint is not gross. It's like cotton or whatever else your clothes are made out of. It just, that's why your clothes wear out. Some, pieces of the fabric come out when you're doing your laundry. So, before and after, you always want to kind of get in the habit of doing both. Before and after you do your laundry, one thing you should be in the habit of is pulling out the lint trap, checking for lint, and then the after you do your laundry is to make sure that the next person that comes to use the dryer doesn't have to deal with your lint, as well as if it's you don't have to deal with it next time. We're going to talk about that lint in more detail in just a moment after I undo one thing. Alright, so if you're one of my students, we have 4 dogs and our situation's a little bit different, but because I was already doing this, I decided I just might as well move our dryer because I'm going to vacuum all this while we're doing that. And that's another safety piece, is to every so often move those appliances that don't often get moved, the refrigerator, the washer, the dryer, and to clean under them, because if there's a buildup of hair or buildup of dust, that's just generally dangerous. So then the other way that your dryer is extra dangerous is inside this pipe that attaches to the back of it. This is your this is your vent line for the hot air coming out of your dryer. And this line can get lint in it. If somebody changes the lint trap or cleans up the lint trap in the middle of laundry happening, if somebody doesn't clean out the lint trap or takes the lint trap out and runs the dryer without the lint trap in, or just in general, over time, some lint is going to get past that trap. So every so often, it's good to take this line off the back of your dryer and vacuum it out. So I'm actually going to go get the vacuum cleaner and stick the hose up in there. Luckily, these lines are normally flexible and kind of like accordions, so you can bunch it up together and kind of get the vacuum up in there nice and easy. You can even take the line off where it attaches, where it comes into the house, if you so choose. You can take that off. And another thing you want to check when doing just your general maintenance on the dryer is go outside and double check where that dryer line leaves the house. Make sure that those, there should be little flaps that open when the dryer is running. Make sure that those flaps can lift up, and make sure that there's nothing outside blocking that, like a yard waste bag or a bush or who knows what. That those little flaps on that door need to open up nice and easy. So I'm going to go get my vacuum and clean this stuff out, and unless I think of anything else, I think that is everything talking about our washer and dryer. Oh yeah, of course I would think about something else. The other thing is, if when you run your dryer, your basement or wherever your dryer's at seems very warm, and especially seems humid, it probably means that your dryer vent line is not attached to your dryer properly, or is not attached at all, or that your foil like vent hose has actually probably gotten a hole in it somewhere. A mouse could chew on this. It could just get a hole on its own. It could just get old. So if it seems really warm or really humid when you run your dryer, that probably is an indication that something is wrong with the dryer vent line, either how it's attached or the line itself. I remembered one last thing to talk about with the washer. If you're having any issues with the washer wobbling or walking, literally sometimes when people run their washers, they like walk across the floor, it's probably because it's out of level. Now most like cell phone app stores, so like the Apple Store or the Play Store or whatever, have level downloads that you can download an app for your cell phone to work as a level. Or if you have a legitimate bubble level, obviously this is always my go-to. And sometimes you'll need to lift the lid and find a level spot for something to sit, whether it's your phone or that level. But the feet on your washing machine should be adjustable, at least the front feet, if the back feet aren't totally adjustable as well. So be careful. A lot of times your washing machine keeps some water in the bottom of it. So if you start tipping it, you might get some water running out, especially if your drain isn't attached to anything. But checking that your washer's level, both front to back, and side to side. And a nice way that you can check that is if it's level on the diagonals, then it's level front to back and side to side. But checking that it's level will normally work out that knocking or walking or whatever is going on with your washer. The other thing to check is that you're loading it properly. So if you're new to doing laundry and you just dump your basket in there, you're probably not spacing out your weight evenly, and when clothes get wet, they get really heavy. So if leveling your washer doesn't work, make sure that you're actually kind of spreading your clothes out and trying to even out the weight. Now I think that's everything that I have for washer dryers. So I'm going to go finish cleaning up everything for my dryer, get that put back together, and then we'll move on to the next video.